Hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, Bridget. Welcome. Hi,
Hi,
Abba.
Gali.
We're back. Mwah.
How are you?
I'm great.
Hi,
How are
Bridget.
you, Bridget? Good to see you and good to have everybody on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. So, if you're on here, tell us a little hello, first of all, to know that you're here and that the sound and video is good. So, hi, Margaret, and hi, Stephanie. Blessings and love from Charleston. Hi.
Wow,
Okay.
nice.
And hello, Ronell. How
Hi,
you doing?
Ronel. Good to see everyone.
Yes. So today we are talking about a subject which is quite interesting because I think that on a normal circumstance, people have anxiety, they have fear, on just day to day. People deal with all kinds of fears and anxiety, just business and life and what's going to happen and money and security and things like that. And I think that that's obviously heightened during a time of mental turmoil from what's happening in the news and the war and things like that, which I think we'll get into. But I feel like the basis is to start with day to day. But Bridget, over to you, and you can kind of open up that topic for us.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to work with Mir. I guess I was trying to remember. It's probably been 5 or 6 years now, which is wow. And of course, have been on your classes as well, Gal, and just appreciate you guys so much. So I was really happy to be on here today. Um, Throughout life issues and things that come up, Mir, you've helped me so many times with various things, whether it's health or finances, relationships, all of it. And my life is dramatically better because of it. So thank you, first of all. Um, and I reached out because I have kind of an anxiety that will come up over time. It seems to quiet down certain periods of my life, and then it kind of ratchets up again. A lot of what you have taught me has helped me to confront and to handle life, to understand it a lot more. Sometimes I might call it a trigger. Maybe you would say the reactive mind. I don't know. But sometimes something will happen in my environment that causes um, a range of anxiety. And when I describe it, it can be from mild, moderate to severe, where severe is more like panic attack, where you feel like you're it's more of a bodily response and you feel like you're going to die, like you're breathing fast and you can't control certain body functions. Whereas the mild anxiety might be worry, inability to sleep. And in that range, it's hard to focus and function day to day, much less succeed at whatever you're working on. So I was trying some things and I was in communication with Mayor about it. And I can speak more about the specific things later. But that's why I initially reached out. And I know that you said a lot of people right now, it's just there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And so that's why I hopped on to kind of speak and share with you guys.
Great. It's a great topic and a great intro because I know also many friends that have dealt with things like that, and it's many people have this. So that's great. Thank you for opening this up.
Okay. So, in order to handle anything in life, the first thing you need to understand what it is. Because if you don't know what it is, how can you handle it? If you just see a manifestation of something, you cannot handle the something. If you see people dying in the street, but you don't know that they die from a car accident, you cannot handle the car accidents, which maybe is the source. If the car accident is the source, you just see the manifestation, people are dying in the street.
Mhm.
So you always have to find the source, what it is, and understand the source.
Yes.
So uh, we have two subjects. We have fear and we have anxiety. Okay. And what happened is it start with fear and turn into anxiety. So let's start with fear. Explain fear. How do you handle fear? And then we'll see what do you do with the anxiety, which is the manifestation of fear.
Mhm.
Okay. So fear is an unwillingness or an inability to communicate with something. The result is an imperception. You don't actually see. So if I'm unwilling to communicate with guns, I will be afraid of guns. If I'm unwilling to communicate with cockroaches, I will be afraid of cockroaches, although a cockroach can do nothing to me. If I'm unwilling to communicate with the children, I will be afraid of children. If I'm unwilling to communicate with the opposite sex, I will be afraid of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So fear is just an unwilling or inability to communicate, and it results in imperception, it results in blindness. So if you will check, you'll see that anything that you're afraid of actually do not exist, because what you think you see is not there. Okay? So the first thing to understand that fear is unwillingness or inability to communicate with something. So for example, if we take it to a personal issue, let's say you feel you're afraid of your financial situation, you did not look at what's going on financially. You think that there is a problem, you're worried about the problem is big, and over time it grows hair, and then it become ugly and whatever, and the worse it gets, the less you are willing to look at it, and the more you're afraid of it.
Right.
And the handling, of course, is always within the definition of the word. If you understand the word, you will have the handling. The handling is to look. So, for example, if I take the situation in Israel, there is a war, and most of the people say, well, don't talk to your children about the war, don't tell them what's actually happened, don't let them see. I say, no, the opposite, communicate. You're afraid only of those things that you don't communicate with. So the first thing that you need to understand is that in order to handle fear, the first thing is to understand is that you're afraid. It's not real. What does it mean I'm afraid? I'm unwilling to communicate. The moment that you report it to yourself that you are unwilling to communicate, what you need to do is to gain an understanding of the situation. How do you do that? By looking. You have to cause yourself to look at this thing that you don't want to look. And what you need to do is to say, well, I cannot look at it. Fine. What can you look in the situation? I cannot look at a cockroach. Okay, good. Can you look at the picture of a cockroach? Yes. Excellent. No, I cannot look at the picture of a cockroach. Not a problem. Can you imagine a very, 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 very tiny cockroach? No. Okay. Can you imagine a very, very, very tiny cockroach that is on the moon? Okay, yes. Fine. So you get the person to imagine something that he can do, and slowly you bring the cockroach closer and closer to him until he can look at the picture, and later on he can look at an actual cockroach, and you'll see that he will realize at one point that cockroaches are not so bad, that he is senior to them. So the first thing is understanding the subject. So you need to, how do you understand the subject? You need to start looking at it.
Yeah.
Now, once you start to understand the subject, you need to, and to confront it, to look at that, you need to find out how do you actually strengthen your mental condition that you will not fall into the same situation. And that get done through education, where you need to understand how the mind works and what's the basic principles of life, so you can actually handle it. So this is fear. This is how you handle fear. Maybe we'll see if there's any questions first before I'm continuing to lecture.
No, but that's great. That's a brilliant answer. Bridget, over to you. Or in the comment section, by the way, as well.
Yeah, the principles that you teach have, as I say, have impacted my life so much. I haven't had things like depression and different things in so long. And I feel like exactly what you're saying. I have, even a year ago, there were times that I couldn't confront. I would have a glass of wine if I was stressed, worried, whatever. And earlier this year, made myself carve out evenings where it was just me and a desk and a spreadsheet and my finances, and just forcing myself to confront. And I absolutely have experienced that, like that the ability to confront has had a tremendous impact on my life. And I can see sometimes when I'm having anxiety about a particular thing, maybe it's work, but when I sit down to do the work and I do the first email or the first call, the anxiety will come down. So I can completely see that, have experienced that, and know that that is absolute truth. And I also want to hear more, because even with all that, sometimes it still rises. And I get the mental condition or spiritual condition as well, because I'm able to shift myself into better states just by sheer will, and I don't know, just make myself shift, and I'll be going fine for a few hours, and then something will happen, and it's like it seems so fast that I could slide back. So that's frustrating. That happens sometimes. Something external to me will happen, and it seems pretty instant. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just.
Okay. So let's see if there's any questions. Anyone that
Yeah. Well, first of all, Margaret said, thank you, Bridget, and bravo.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Yeah. If anybody is on and wants to ask questions, something
Yeah.
we missed, more on a topic, feel free to write it in the chat. We
Yeah.
will get to it.
Yeah, and it's also help because I can talk about specific thing that more real to the people that listening.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the first thing is that you learn about the subject. Okay, now there is a massive issue that if you really get that as a basic principle, and once it become real to you, not because I say it, but because you realize it, because you have this moment of an epiphany of when you see that everything changed in your life, you will never be afraid again. And what it is, you need to separate between you, the spirit, and your possessions. You have to separate between you, the spirit, and your possessions. Your possession is your body, is your mind, is your past, is your car, is your children, it's your laptop, it's your wife, your husband, your glasses, anything that is not you. You have to be able to separate. Now, it's quite simple because you said my car, my wife, my children, anything that belongs to me is not me. And only once you can separate between you and the thing that you possess, you understand that why do you have all those things? You have them because you're in communication with them. And the only reason you have a car is because you have a communication with the car. The only reason I have a child is because I communicate with him. The only reason I have a wife is because I communicate with her. If you divorce is basically you say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I've been talking to you too much. That's basically what you say. I don't want to talk, I don't want communication with you. And you'll see that the less communication you have with something, the less control you have over that thing. So anxiety, as opposed to fear, is the result of fear. Once you've been in a fear for quite a long time, what happens is that you not only don't look, but you substitute what's there with things that are not there, that are negative. Anxiety is the result of long-term fear that has not been handled, unwillingness to communicate for a long time. And so you let the past give you things that do not exist, that for you are more real than what's right in front of you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, once you realize that intellectually, once you understand it at a moment of sanity, you say, okay, fine, I know it's not me. Then you know that in order to handle it is to look at this thing and say, okay, fine, I know they're not real. So what you do, you find proof to myself that those things are real, not that they're not real. You look at something and you say, well, you know, I'm about to die. Okay, prove to myself that I want to die. How am I going to die? How is it going to be so? Prove to myself that the cockroach will eat me. How is it going to eat me? Prove to myself that I will never be able to get out of it. If you actually try to prove to yourself that it is, you will see that you will realize it's not. So this is the first thing. And the second thing that you need to do on an alternating basis is what could be worse than that thing. So prove to myself that it will be. What could be worse than this? Prove to myself that it can be. What could be worse than that? I'm afraid of a missile being shot. What could be worse than a missile being shot at me?
There we go. Okay, did we lose you at some point?
Yes, but we're back, I do believe.
Okay, we're up to where did you hear?
If you're afraid of a missile, what could be worse? I think is
Okay.
where we left off.
Okay. So we have
It's a good cliffhanger.
yeah. So basically what we have two situations that you look at how you on the one hand look at what could be worse, and on the other hand is how can I make it happen? Like how can it be? And if you do those two things, the anxiety will go away.
Mm-hmm.
But prerequisite or the end result should be that you handle the anxiety. You really need to realize through these drills, if you do those drills again and again and again, you will realize that you are not your possessions. Only if you realize that you are not your possession, you'll be able to communicate with them. Because if I think that I'm my possession, if I think that I'm my body, then I'm the effect of the body, because I cannot communicate with me. So I cannot communicate with the body, so I don't know what's happening with the body, and the body just will produce all kind of manifestation. But if I know I'm not the body, I can command the body. So it's really important to, if you are in an attack, to do these two drills. And as soon as you can, you need to realize, or you do those drills again and again and again until you get to your own cognition why you are not your possessions. Before you realize that you are not your possessions, anything that happened to your possession will kill you. You will think it's incorrect. So if someone scratch your car, you're dead. If someone tell you, oh, you owe money, you cannot sleep. If someone threaten your child, you get a heart attack. But if you realize you are not the things that you own, all of a sudden you become senior to them, and you can control them, and nothing will happen to them. It is quite amazing that the more you realize that you are not your possession, the end result is at the higher level is that you realize that you create everything around you. Nothing can happen without your command. Nothing.
Powerful. That's an amazing message.
Mm-hmm.
Bridget, there's a question here, but before I get to it, I want to see if you, because it's really on your train of thought, if there was something you wanted to say there.
Well, I guess I'm seeing it as two ways to hand. There's two facets to me. There's the pre-anxiety state of being, like the logical understanding, the knowingness about these principles, the drills, and those things have helped me to not have as many episodes or as severe episodes. What I would be curious about, and we might get into some talk around entities and that kind of thing here, but what I'm curious about is when you're having that bodily response, when you're having, and your thinking changes, I can't think as clearly. In a severe anxiety attack, I literally had trouble setting, like, it's like my intelligence goes down. I had trouble doing something on my phone, really basic, because my system was in such a panic. Logically, I know I'm safe. Logically, I know I'm fine. What's happening in the body at that moment, and how in those moments can you bring it back down? And I had talked to Mayor about ice bath and like just different things. I haven't had medication for anxiety in years, but like that's a typical thing that people would go to. There's a lot of, treatments and things out there. And so I'd be curious, the spiritual condition part and principles, but then also when it's happening, what can you do? What's happening in the body?
Yeah. When it's happening, when the body go crazy, you need to do two things. Okay. First of all, the first thing that you do is you look around and you find something you can have. something you can touch.
Hmm.
You look around and you find something you can touch, something you can have, and you go and touch it. You're actually physically touching it and say, okay, fine, I touch it. I can have the phone. I touch the phone and I acknowledge myself. Okay, I have the phone. And you do that again and again and again and again and again until something happens. Okay? You
Okay.
look around and you find something you can have, something you can touch. You can run it as find something you can touch or find something you can have. You do that again and again and again until something will change. Why? Because when the body go crazy like that, is because the body believes that it cannot have itself, that it cannot have.
Hmm.
So you do that. Now there's another thing that you can do, which is usually more effective, much more effective, but it's weird. And I will tell you to do that, despite the fact that it's weird. And if you do it, it's just something that you do, you imagine that you're doing, but if you do that, you'll see that you will have an immediate improvement.
Your weird
So,
stuff always works, by the way.
sorry.
Your weird stuff always works.
Yes.
Always works.
True. So you look at something and you get this anxiety attack or panic attack even, and you think, I'm going to die. So what you need to do, you need to take pieces of dead bodies in your mind, and just pieces of dead bodies, whatever come to your mind first, with lots of blood, and feed it to your stomach.
So these pictures of
Pictures.
dead bodies,
You
made
feed
up,
the
you make
pictures.
up,
You
you
make
make
up
up
the
pictures.
pictures and you feed to your stomach. You just take it into your stomach, shove it into your stomach, just in your mind. And you do that for a few times, and all of a sudden you will see a massive change. Now, why? This anxiety comes from the genetic entity. The genetic entity is the entity that's responsible for the operation of the body. And when the genetic entity feels that it's going to lose, that it's lost a lot of things too fast, it goes crazy and it starts to kill it's trying to tell the body, look, you are about to die. You need to give me something. You need to get me food.
Hmm.
Any kind of heaviness. So if you take this picture and you feed the genetic entity, as weird as it sounds, you will see that the anxiety will subside in a matter of minutes.
And the food is pictures. It's
Pictures,
mental
yes.
image pictures.
Pictures,
It's not food.
It's not food. Yes, you just take pictures of something with lots of blood, pieces of either animals or body, depends of what, as close as you get to what you are afraid of.
Hmm.
And you feed the stomach entity, and you will see that instantly thing will improve instantly.
Now I've
And
I've heard you teach this before, and I have to admit I don't know how anybody could ever forget this drill. It's so vivid, but I had done this in the past and I forgot to do this again. But can you explain? And I'm sure there are a lot of people on this live stream who have not had a lot of your in-depth teachings. Maybe I don't know, but it sounds very bizarre. What is happening? So entities are running the body. Entities want pain and negativity and all of that, and so you're just kind of mentally pushing that into entity.
so the genetic entity believe that it doesn't have, that it lost a lot, and you need to substitute the loss of the entity believed that it lost with something else. And when you give that entity pictures, it substitute it for actual food, for actual energy. You get energy, and you get the insane mind to be moved away. And now the entity field, it has energy, and it doesn't need to consume energy from its past. So you push the past away by giving the entity enough energy, so it doesn't need to consume the energy from the past, and by that bringing on yourself all kind of pictures that terrorize you. because you know it's not real, but
Right.
those pictures are really real. It's like you're in a movie and you know the movie is not real, but you're still afraid. That's what
Yes.
happened. So
Yes.
that caused the entity to say, okay, fine, I don't need those pictures. I have something available right now for me. And I get the energies from the pictures that you give, not from the pictures from the past.
Mhm.
And this, you substitute the past with pictures that you create, and immediately you will see that there will be a massive, massive improvement in matter of seconds or minutes.
I will absolutely go back to doing that. And Mayor, over the course of the years, when you've given me some kind of imaginal type activity to do for a particular problem, um, I have experienced it working within seconds. So it's wild. So again, I just can't even, I will never be able to thank you enough for all that you've helped me. So um, I'm curious, what is what is happening with the body when we do other treatments that are supposed to help, like an ice bath, like acupressure points? Are we doing something with are entities involved in that, because entities are running the body? What's happening in those moments where the anxiety seems to get soothed, at least temporarily?
Okay. So if you will go online and you look at people that die and come back, you'll see that lots of people tell you, and it's actually true. I'm just giving you that as so you have many viewpoints, that they saw that there are many, 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 many small people that actually running the body, and the body is not actually real. Those things that running the body, I call entities, or they are called entities. The entities running the body. Now, the entities are sub spirits. It's the spirit itself create them, and the job of the entities is to run the body. Now, of course, I'm not going to give you the whole technology or the whole knowledge about entities and how they work here, but you can look at that as a whole structure, a whole organization that run the cells of the body. So what we see cells and we see them doing all kind of thing, but the command, what tells the heart to beat and what tells the lungs to operate and what tells the brain to connect things is those entities. And the condition of those entities define what's happening with the body. So when you do certain things, for example, when you do ice treatments, all kind of ice treatments, those entities specifically are really not fond of ice for different reasons. It's not important why. And what happened, the entity goes off the body go into a state, into a native state of the body, which is just a machine that has no feeling, no nothing. It just need to eat, sleep, and have children and procreate, and that's all. So there will be no pain, but there will be no life either.
Mhm.
So what happened is temporarily those entity goes away, and then very shortly thereafter, within matter of minutes or hours, they come back and the whole problems come back
Mhm.
exactly the same. Nothing happened. You didn't handle the problem. You the acupunctures is that those entities are run by like in any organization you have management posts. So when you put needles and when you do different pressure points and so on, what you do, you interfere, basically you bypass the entity that's responsible for this area of the organization. And while you bypass it, and you may create a certain behavior in the organization by force, it doesn't hold long term because it's not the source. You have to handle the boss in order to handle the organization, because any organization, not only the body, a business organization, will not progress above the condition of the spirit, the boss that's running it. So you can look at the top of the organization. I can look at the prime minister or president of a country, and I can tell you how well this country will do this year. I can look at the condition of the spirit of a person. I can look at him for 2 minutes or less, and I can tell you this person will have this kind of physical problem, this kind of health problem, this kind of a relationship problem, this kind of whatever problems. So the handling is not the handling of the entities. The handling is the handling of the boss, of the spirit that define what will happen with those organizations. And you will discover that the only healing, agent for the body is the spirit, because only the spirit can change the entities.
Amazing answer. Amazing. So I'll ask a quick question here from Rushina. What about when there doesn't seem to be any particular thing we're afraid of, or we can't find it? There's just an underlying fear almost always present without knowing why or what it is.
Then what you need to do is 2 things. There is probably a constant restimulation of the past that you're unwilling to look at, because it's been for so long that you are unwilling to look at it. And what I will do, how I will bring more control, is start to learn what is the basic principles of the mind. When I met Bridget at the beginning, we started with, she had viewpoint on life, a certain viewpoint, she had a certain situations, and the more she learned, the more she took control, the more she realized where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never where you think it is from, because if you knew where it is, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
So when it seems that there is no source, there is definitely a source, and you just not willing to look at it. And
Mm-hmm.
by learning, first of all, getting some knowledge will bring control. And so you'll be able to take responsibility for the area, and you'll be able to see it. You will see it's a very similar thing, that when you have something really, really, really painful that happened to you, you will say that it didn't happen. You will totally forget it, but it's there and it's bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
The more you gain knowledge about what actually happened, people will show you, look, but this is a video, this is what happened. And you say, no, it didn't happen. And you look a bit more and you look at pictures and you hear stories, and all of a sudden you say, oh yeah, I do remember there was a door like that. Yes. And you all of a sudden starting to look at things.
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge raise the responsibility and eventually bring about control.
Fantastic. Perfect. And Bunny Network said, beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Stephanie Panel is asking, is spirit the infinite and an eternal divine essence of a person?
Okay. So let's define all those words. What is spirits? What is infinite? What is eternal divine essence?
Mm-hmm.
If I ask you to define it, you will see that actually there's no definitions. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the spirit? I would give you a very quick explanation.
Crash course.
Crash course on what is the spirit.
Spiritual crash course.
So to understand the spirit, to understand anything in
Okay, we are
back.
back. Bridget, can you hear us?
Yes. To understand the spirit, we have to, that's where we left off.
Okay. So to understand the spirit, we need to look at something to compare it to, and I'll give you a very good, quick explanation of the spirit. If you want to learn more, you can go online on one of our free videos, and there are many videos that explain the concept. So you can say that the physical universe is anything that composed of 2.
Mm-hmm.
In the physical universe, you have plus and minus, you have big and small, you have beautiful and ugly, husband and wife, everything composed of 2 in the physical universe, okay?
Yes.
So you can say that something is anything that composed of 2s.
Mm-hmm.
In the physical universe, for example, there is no something that composed of 1. when you said there's one heart, the heart is an idea. It composed of many two atoms, and every atom is composed of an electron and proton. Nothing is composed of one. There is no zero and no one in the physical universe.
Yes.
Okay? The spirit is this thing that do not compose of two, that has the ability to compose, to create two.
Right.
So the spirit is anything that do not compose of two. It's not physical, but it can create physical things. It can bring about physical things. And hence you can look at the physical universe and you see that it's expanding because the spirits put more and more and more tools into the physical universe and the physical universe expands.
Mm-hmm.
So the definition of the spirit could be this thing that do not compose of two, that can bring about something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hope that that's a very quick explanation.
It's a great first answer.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ronel said this will be interesting. Anna, amazing. And we have a Facebook user. Sorry, I can't see your name, but it says, if people have conditions that are inherited, can those entities be healed?
Everything can be healed. The spirit knows how to grow a finger, brain, anything. So obviously the knowledge is there. There's a consideration that there is a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
So there is nothing that could not be fixed by the spirit alone. Nothing. It's the spirit is so powerful that through evolution, when the spirit realized that the body is not suiting to do something specific, it changes the body totally.
Yes.
It takes time because the spirit have to be right, or because the entities wants to be right. But the spirit have the ability.
Yeah.
If we can move from monkeys into bodies, someone did this transformation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. That's a good point. Fantastic. And also, by the way, Stephanie said, got it. Brilliant explanation when you explained the spirit.
Thank you.
William is asking, what about when you retract from conflicts? You don't want to fight, so you shut down.
Yeah. So anything that you will not confront, anything that you will run from will hurt you. Something that you are fully confront, something that you're fully in communication with, cannot hurt you. If I'm fully in communication with the missile, it's mean I can tell the missile what to do. I know where it is at any moment and I can duck. Mm-hmm. When Neo in the Matrix fully could confront the bullets was something that stopped, and for him there was no time.
Right.
You really could see the structure of what's going on. So the wrong thing to do is nothing. The worst thing to do is to retract.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to handle anything, you need to learn how to not retract. And the only reason you retract from something is because you don't know the knowledge related to that thing. So if you retract from cars, is because you don't have the knowledge about car. Mm-hmm. If you retract from the opposite sex, let's say I want to be your, let's say you are a woman and I want to be your boyfriend. If I cannot talk to you, it's because I don't have the knowledge about communication. I don't have the knowledge about relationships. So anything you feel that you need to retract from is something that you're missing knowledge. And so because you're missing knowledge, you think, oh, I cannot communicate with that and so on. Mm-hmm. But the amazing thing is that the moment that you communicate with something, it gets closer to you, and the closer a person or the closer something is to you, the more you can control. Yeah. If you're in the other room, I cannot really control you as well as if I'm communicating with you and you're close to me, so I can move you.
Right.
So one thing for sure, don't retract. Never. Learn the knowledge that you're missing. And how do you know if the knowledge that you're missing is valuable or nonsense? It puts you in control. The problem with the most religions, despite the fact that they're very good, extremely good, the religion got man to where he is today, so they must be good. But the problem with religion, or the limitation with religion, is that it doesn't give you enough self-determinism.
Mm-hmm.
it says God is everything and you are nothing. And this is the religion. This is not what God said.
I see.
It's misunderstanding of what God says. If you actually know what you're reading, it's not what God says. It's the religion, it's the people interpretation of what God says. So someone along the line look at what God says and he said, well, that's a little bit too high gradient for me, or too much responsible for me, or I'm not ethical, so I cannot have it. So they twisted what God said. And since people don't really understand what they learn, because they never learn how to learn, they accept the lies. And so they become a fact.
Amazing, amazing, amazing answer. And Bridget, we'll get back to you in just one sec. Rushina, sorry, if the person is stuck in past trauma, is it possible to move him on the time track by working with his body? If yes, how?
No, the body is, let's say someone tortured you 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay. And let's say you had the pain in your hand. Your hand is not your memory. The memories are not in your cells.
Yeah.
You need to handle the pictures. You need to handle not even the pictures. You need to handle your conclusion about what happened.
Mhm.
Because you don't know what happened. You have conclusions about what happened. Why? Because 5 people will be at the same situation and each one of them will have a total different effect. Why? Because each one of them will look at the data differently and will have different conclusion.
Yeah.
So what you need to handle is your considerations about what happened, and you need to get the person to be senior to his past, because really the past is not important, because the past has passed.
Mhm.
And if the past has not passed for you, it's actually not past, it's present time.
Right. Amazing. And by the way, William said, "Wow, thank you," to
You're
your
very
answer
welcome.
earlier about
Yeah,
retracting from conflicts.
yeah.
Bridget, back to you. We almost need to wrap up. I'll have one question at the end, but over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Um, Everything that you've talked about and super helpful. I know one of the things that has helped me when I have had anxiety that you've taught me, or depression or worry or stress or whatever, is this concept of forcing yourself to do something as opposed to being guided by feelings. That's something that I guess you would call a fake reality that I think a lot of us have. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition, all of that kind of stuff. You don't feel like doing something, but some of the biggest gains I've made have been from forcing myself to do something. And I think with anxiety, one of the things when I was having basically the hardest time of my life in 2020, one of the things you told me that helped me just get out from the very bottom was the simplest thing. And it had to do with placing an object. And I think all of this, forcing yourself to go to the gym, forcing yourself to confront, placing the glass here because I put it there, my keys go here because I decide, right? It's really simple stuff that helped me get out from under some of the worst of it. But that idea, and I think it maybe you would describe it as being causative or being senior to your environment, but that's been really key and helpful for me. And the new things you've shared today, and some have been revisited from previous things you taught me, I will definitely use, and it's just really valuable. And I just want to thank you so much because my life is so changed. My children's lives are so changed. I get emotional talking about it. Just so much gratitude and appreciation and love for you, Mayor. So thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much.
Amazing.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
Wow.
there's a lot of things to do, lots of things to do. All of them is basically putting you at cause. All of them. You just need to be cause and don't allow being affected. All the fake realities, all the nonsense of waiting for the universe to give you something. How the universe, that thing, can give you something? It is
Oh,
nonsense. Yeah, all those
yes.
things that people teach. Oh, well, it's all energy. Seriously, energy is something dead. It's not energy, it's you. You create energy, you don't consume energy. If you the body consume energy, you don't consume energy, you create energy. So all those things are things that you really need to learn. Of course, we have here less than an hour, so I'm not getting into too much. But whenever someone tell you you are a fact, wait for the universe, listen for your emotions. It's something that belongs to you. Listen to your body, something that belongs to you. All of this thing is nonsense, destructive nonsense. And the people that usually give those advice are messed up because they don't really understand that they're using the wrong why.
They have their own confusions.
They have their own confusion, their own anxiety, their own fear, etc. I don't remember I had one day of fear in my life. I know people afraid of me. I'm
By the way, Stephanie says thank you. And my
Thank you.
final question. So this is something that is practical and current events related. So we have right now people that are in actual fear because of the circumstance with Israel and Palestine. There's threats that if a Jew goes out in public, they need to be scared. There could be a potential attack. There might be, I saw something online that on a specific date, all the people all over the world need to find the Jews and attack them. And there's all these things. So a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid. The people in Israel, I can only imagine living there. And should I go out? Should I not? It's scary. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
how do we handle that?
Okay, so first of all, knowledge. Know what's going on around you. Don't put your head in the sand and hope for everything to be good. Look and communicate. For someone to attack you, for something to be bad, you have to not look. To have an accident, you have to ignore a lot of things.
Right. True.
So if you communicate, the chances that something will happen to you is almost nothing. I will tell you something that will sound weird. I can tell you that is true. If someone shoot a bullet at you and you will be able to confront the bullet will not hit you. And that sounds weird, but I can tell you from my time in the army, I had 100 times that has been proven to be true. The people that got hurt are the people that got afraid. You first get afraid and then you get hurt. If you're willing to communicate with something, it cannot hurt you because by definition, this thing that you fully communicate with, you control. So communicate with the things. How do you do that? You do that by understanding the situation. You do that by, on a gradient scale, reaching more and more and more. And you do that mainly by handling your mental state. And this is a big subject of how to handle the mental state. But you will see that anything you're afraid of is in the past. You're not afraid of something now, because what could happen is not something that could happen, but it's something that remind you of something that did happen.
Right. True.
So you're not afraid of the future, you're actually afraid only of the past. And the past is not there. The past is gone. So you're afraid of nothing.
Yeah. Amazing.
So, and of course, I know that you need to learn and you need to learn how to remove the past and how to hold it in bay at the beginning. But the first thing you need to understand is, I'm afraid with something, don't wait. Don't run away. Don't hide. Communicate. Even if someone shoot at you a missile in Israel and you go into this mamad, the protective
bunkers,
room, the bunker, you go there not by the hope of you will not hear it. No, I want to be in total communication with it. Follow the noise. Know where it is. Decide that you know. Get exterior to the bunker and see what's going on. Nothing will happen to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so that's actually a great answer. Just one tiny little layer deeper. We don't have to go, just 30-second kind of thing. What can somebody do practically that is really afraid? Like right now, they're like, I'm just scared to go.
Find something you can have around.
Okay.
So find something you can have, and then what could be worse than that fear? If you want get someone to ask you, tell me, find something that worse than being shot on. Shoot someone shoot you. Tell me something that's worse than that.
shooting my friends.
Okay, good. Tell me something that worse than being shot.
Being shot many times.
Okay, good. Tell me something worse than being shot.
Other many people besides just me getting shot.
Okay, good. So the moment that you see that this is not such a big problem being shot, that there are much bigger problems, you realize that you can handle that supposed problem, and it's actually not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make a headache go? You shoot a person in the stomach. The headache goes, yes?
Yeah.
It will go away. You have a headache, shoot a person in the stomach, he will not have a headache anymore, I promise you.
Yeah.
How do you make a fear go? You take that fear and make the person shoot him in the stomach, but not physically.
Yeah,
Just get him to imagine what could be worse than that.
Right. I see.
And the headache will go.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, it's obviously a huge topic that is,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's,
And
you
we can
know,
get people, if you have a specific problem, if people have a specific problem, go to the website. There's a contact me place there somewhere.
right. Yeah.
Write me a question and I always answer.
Mm-hmm.
Always, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you say, regardless of how nice you are to me or not. Sometimes people tell me, write to me and say, you are really brainless. Okay, fine. Let me do a scan. Maybe I lost my
Maybe.
brain. So I will promise them, look, it's first chance that I will have, I'll do a scan. But what is the actual problem?
Yeah, exactly. For sure. No, definitely contact us, and always there's a
Right.
reply.
Yeah,
For
there's
sure.
always a reply.
And maybe we can have a live coaching session. We can do all kinds of
Yes.
things around it. So get in touch with us. I want to
Or we
read.
can get you into an interview if you have something that affect many people. Then
Yeah, that's what I.
we
That's
can
yeah,
get-
yeah,
yeah.
that kind
So
of
we can do-
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And we have here Ronell who said, "Yes, Mary, you're a wonderful teacher."
Thank you.
Stephanie Panel said, "Powerful."
Thank you.
Rashina had a question, but we need to kind of wrap up. So write to us, Rashina, and we'll answer you.
Okay.
Ronell, face your fear, yes, and then a few LOLs at the end there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget.
so much
Love you.
for being on.
Mwah. Love you.
It was really
You're
helpful.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Love you
Thank
guys.
you, Abale. Mwah. I love you.
Love you.